Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. And today, the first thing I want to talk about is I hope everybody had a safe Halloween. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important to be safe during stuff like Halloween. Now, we just came back from vacation, and last Sunday night, the Baltimore Ravens proved they are for real. Lamar Jackson and this offense looked great. Now, some will say that Bill Belichick threw everything at the Baltimore Ravens because he might assume that he's going to see them later down the line. So now Bill has a full report. When they do this, we do that. When we do this, they do that. So that is great. But the Baltimore Ravens, they looked for reals yesterday. And Tom Brady, he looked a little slow at times, even though he moved through the pocket very well. At times, his age would show. And that's the truth. Now, the Patriots are still a contender. Even though they went down for their first loss. But Baltimore has shown that they have a future that is realistic. And that is great. Last night you had Ray Lewis in the house. And you knew somehow, some way, they were going to pull it off. And Lamar Jackson in his first full season as a starter, 6-2, 12 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, 79.6 rushing yards per game. Baltimore is for reals. But there is still one undefeated team. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the team by the Bay, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, every time they play the Cardinals, you know it's going to be a game. And on Halloween, where I hope everybody had a safe time with their family and friends, the Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, they put down a Thursday night showdown. It was a great game, and you have to give it to the Arizona Cardinals. Because even though their record might show that it's not the best, but you can see a future if they just hang on and keep on working. But the San Francisco 49ers, first, they got to get healthy and stay healthy, and they got to be consistent. Plus, the offense has to score points. The offense has to help out. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. They have won 8 games. They have a winning record. Congratulations. But they have to prove they could take over in the playoffs, take over in the big games if they want to make that step. Because it's still not set in stone. And that's the truth. Now, shout out to the Oakland Raiders who took home a W. They played very well and they're at 500. But you have the Denver Broncos playing good also. And Kansas City, they're going to step it up. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we will talk about UFC 244, the main event. It's money. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. And now, what I want to talk about is Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a great street fight. And a lot of people, they don't like how it finished. But you have to give it up to the referee taking in the consideration for the fighter. And that you just have to. But in the whole scheme of things, it could have ended a better way, yes. But that fight was convincing enough for multiple people to decide they don't want to see it happen again. At least not in the near future. But if you look at the fight, Jorge did exactly what he did. He created a masterpiece, a street masterpiece. It was like a street fight. It was. But I just feel that Jorge was more technical than Nate was. And that was the defining factor. And Jorge was just a beast. He's a different animal. But don't get me wrong. Nate was still going at it. I believe Nate could have finished the fight, and it would have been a great fight, and it could have ended in a whole different way. But you have to give Jorge the credit, because what he did was he made a convincing fight, and that's the most important thing. Could have it went more? Of course. And it could have had so much more potential. But that's not the way it happened. And the referee made the right call, even though it is not the best call, it was the right call. But that was a great fight. And if they ever do it again, it's going to be a good one. But Jorge proved that fight was convincing. And that's the bottom line. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we will talk about how do you handle a loss. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Now, I just want to take this time to say How do you handle a loss that finishes your season? Now, the first thing you have to know, and if you ever been in that situation, you know why you lost that game. Habits create habits. Good habits create good habits. Great habits create great habits. Bad habits create bad habits. Now, for someone who has been in that position as a player before, after that game finishes, you understand why you lost that game. Because there becomes a certain maturity as a player that has to be installed. Because sports is a metaphor for life. So if you are not doing the correct things, if you do not have the best habits, and you don't find a consistent pattern, then sometimes you're gonna fall. But you have to understand, if you're gonna play a sport, if you're gonna play football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, any kind of sport, you have to know that losing is part of the game. Because there has to be a loser and there has to be a winner. But you have to understand, you are not the only one who is putting in the work. And you have to understand, you may not be putting in the same amount of work that the other person is. It happens. Because at the end of the day, you are not the only team that is working hard. It goes for any kind of sport. You have to respect the game. You have to respect that losing is part of the game. Everybody wants to win, but nobody wants to lose. Winning is for pleasure. Losing is for learning, because it shows you every time you take a loss, you have to learn that sometimes that happens in life. Not every day is going to be perfect. Not every situation is going to be perfect. But you can overcome. You have to learn from it and adjust and persevere. It's not going to be easy. But if you put in the work, you will always get what you get. But if you don't, at the end of the day, you will know the reason why you lost. But you have to be able to know it's part of the game. You have to be comfortable with knowing there is a loser and there is a winner. And everything happens for a reason. The truth will come out. Habits create habits. But you have to be grateful on how far you came. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. You can find the show on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, iHeart, and Castbox. G out.